What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be installing the Prinsu rack on my 2010 Subaru Outback here, and I'm going to walk you guys through the whole install process and the hardest part, dropping the headliner. So we have just started, and I'm going to show you what I've done for one side in the back, and then I'm going to show you how to drop the whole headliner, and then once our rack shows up, we will get it installed. All right, so starting at the back, you got this piece right here, this pillar in the back of the trunk. There is 3 plastic clips, 1, 2, 3. And first step, there's a small Phillips head screw that it goes right in there. Take your screwdriver, unscrew that on both sides, and then just kind of pull out on this. There's a few clips back in there too. There's one right here, and there's a couple back in there. It's weird because it kind of sounds like it's breaking, but it's not. It's just how these clips work. And then you want to be careful, because I already kind of creased part of my headliner right here, not being careful, given this is my first time doing this. But you want to just pull down on this piece, pull it out of here, and not get the headliner crunched in there and crack it, because it's this weird fiber board. And then pull down and pop all 3 of these clips out and just kind of work it out. And then there's there's like 2 clips right here that hold it in to this piece. You gotta just kind of pull up on that, pull out and then up. We're working on this next one right now, so I've removed that screw. This is loose. We've got a couple different plastic trim tools that we can get in there, so definitely get yourself a pair of these plastic trim tools. I have a whole set of them off Amazon for like $8. Definitely worth it. We're gonna start prying this out, and then this just kind of pops out like that. It's a lot of popping. It's okay. I don't think we need to remove this piece. I guess I'm not positive. We're gonna work on this side, and then we'll go to those. All right, see, I got this popped out. I got these separated. We're just gonna pull it down, and there's this clip up here you gotta be very careful about. I think I can, yep, there we go. So, not bad. Oh, dusty. And it looks like, no, I didn't break that. I just lost that. Some padding right there for the wiring. So, yep, just pull. I kind of learned with that other one, you want to pull down and then out to avoid snagging this piece on this right here. We got that loose. Let's work on those. All right, we got the small cover that goes on the seatbelt cover. Seatbelt bolt. This is a 9/16. Sorry, my hand's in the way. And we're gonna unbolt this. We already popped some of the top off, but in order to slide this thing out, we're gonna need to unbolt this. We're also gonna peel our door trim off and just get it so it's exposed in this area. You see, we got these tabs back in here, and these tabs are up in the headliner. We don't want to rip the headliner, so we're gonna keep working this piece. I think if we can push it up and then out. Got this pillar out. There's one clip on the bottom that's kind of a bugger, and it sits down in here. Otherwise, more finagling and just being careful. So we got those. We're gonna go the other side, unbolt our seatbelt over there, pop that guy out, and then we'll start on these pillars. Got both these popped. Now onto our handles. There's 2 little grooves. Stick a flathead screwdriver or something in there. And this little top cap's gonna come off like that. Take them both out like that. And then you just pull out the handle. Super simple. This handle comes out, this little piece, and then as simple as just pulling on out. All right, we're gonna move on to these pillars right here. We want to start by removing our door trim. Other side, just really for this section. Mine, I don't think has a bolt down here. Some of them do. This seat belt, I've already removed this, so it shouldn't be in the way. All right, we got this pillar pulled. This one was probably the hardest. This B pillar or whatever it is. So this is down in here. Looks like that, right? So you got some clips up here or some knobs up here. And the last time I tried to pull this out, I mangled, you see, I kind of mangled the liner there. So we really want to avoid not doing that, obviously. So first step, there's a clip up here. Boop. That connects to that hole, okay? So you're gonna pull that out, but don't try to yank it out of here. You will rip that like I did. And I don't see that luckily, but just don't try to do that yet. And then there's gonna be 2 more clips down here on this piece, and then 2 more on this piece, this lower piece. So you end up just having to yank all these out in 4 holes down here. There we go. Might be a little bit easier. See, you don't need to unbolt the seat belt. And then once you work with this and you push this cover back, you gotta push that back, you're able to pop this whole pillar down here and then slide it down. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm gonna start on this other side now. And we're gonna kind of do that same process. It's a little tight with the seat belt in here and stuff, but pretty much pop out. Oh, and the door trim too. That's like the first thing. I've never pulled this stuff off, and you got to pull it off down to there or something, and then it just is a tangled mess like over there and the rest of the car. But taking this trim off on both sides is so key. I'm not sure that can stay there, but we can kind of just prop that up there. But having it off for this is like probably the best tip I could give you guys, is take this trim off so you can pull these pillars so much easier and see what you're working with, see where your clips are. Take a look. So I'm gonna do this part off camera, but then once we get closer to the actual part of pulling it down, I'll show you. All right, should be able to show you guys what I'm talking about now. I have it on 0.5. So this piece kind of wraps around here. You can get a flathead and be very careful and pop that out. We got our clips popped out. We got our 4 pink clips. Those are careful. I mean, you got to be careful. Stuff's gonna break, but those will, as long as everything seats in enough. I already lost 1 clip, but it's, as long as it seats on the way back in, it'll be fine. Push this piece back out of your way, the seatbelt piece, because you don't want this. It's just a plastic piece that recesses behind here. And then we got all this popped, and we're gonna work this thing down. See that? Just boop. We're gonna pop that down and we're good to go. We just slide that down. We don't even take that out because our headliner is literally very loose right now. I could, oh, there's gonna be some gross stuff up in there. What the heck is this? What the heck? Okay, anyways, I'm getting carried away. This is a 15-year-old car, so there's some nasty stuff up in the headliner. Hopefully I don't find a rat in there. Anyways, we have our last piece to do. We got the handles again. Same thing, both sides. We got the mirrors, sun visors, this piece, and then these A-pillars, which really pop this. I think these are pretty self-explanatory. Oh yeah, there's the airbag right there. I'll walk you guys through that whole thing. Also, make sure you disconnect your battery. I can't say how important it is to disconnect the battery. I remembered, so I got it disconnected right here. But just make sure you do that, because you don't want the airbags going off on you. Really gonna be bad when this whole car is torn apart. But we're gonna do those handles, And then we're getting pretty close. So, yeah. All right, so we got B-pillar popped out, handles out. We know the drill on those. And we got, that's a little clip for the sun visor. So there's a cover you pull off. I broke one, but whatever. Cover you pull off, and then you need a screwdriver. And you got 2 screws. Unscrew it and unclip the light, and there's a little tab. Oh, nice. There's a little tab I'll show you. It's turned to be a dirty job. A lot of stuff in this headliner that over the years it's just gotten in, or I don't know. Okay, anyways. Oh, there's that screw. And then there's this little clip, and just press that little thing right there with the screwdriver and it'll clip out. And then I'll show you these two. These are really easy. You don't even need to take them all the way out. Okay, this thing rolls towards the windshield, kind of. Okay, I'll hold that and do it with one hand. And my glove keeps getting in the way. But there we go. You get the point of it. Kind of just... There's these little clip things up in there. These are the airbags. So that's what you want the battery disconnected. But as long as it's loose, there we go. As long as it's like that, this can drop. And it already is very close. I'm literally going to have to go around the edge. These door liners are a bit of a pain. Don't want to stay in, but I'm going to have to go around the edge of this headliner and get the vacuum in here and just vacuum that shit out. Otherwise, I'm going to have crap all over my car. Okay, last thing. I think maybe 2 things. This sunroof. I want to say you have to pull this trim. If you have a sunroof, go ahead and pull this trim all the way around. All right, boom, got that out of there. All right, woohoo, the headliner's dropped. Look at all that fun stuff up in there. Always wild to look at all that. Anyways, okay, I made a mistake. I was trying to pull the dome light out. I didn't realize I needed to pull the cover off. I was yanking on it. There's 2 screws, 2 Phillips that go up in there. So don't yank on it like me. Pull the cover off and check if there's screw holes. Some of them pop out, some of them don't. This one held the rest of the headliner up, and it's bolted up to that black piece up in there. And then it drops down. Here's what I did not need to take out that I'm not going to, is this console piece, these, and these. Because right now, I can slide this. I have access. Oh my God. Jeez. Okay, so I found a nest in here. Little fun fact. I found a nest right there. So that's gonna get dealt with. There could be a dead mouse in it or something, but something's been living in my car. I'm really glad I get the chance to vacuum this out. But anyways, the headliner is down. All right, good morning. It is the next day. We have gotten the whole entire rack on, bolted up, the plus nuts installed, and everything else is on. So I started dropping the headliner, and then I started pulling the stock roof rails off, which are right down here. I'll show you in a second. And then I kind of gave up filming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you guys through everything that had to be done to get to this point. The whole rack is on. Took about a full day. So plan on a full weekend, and I'm not done. The headliner still dropped. Here it is. It looks fantastic. All my doors are open. Super, super solid. Got our washers. Got our spacers down in there with our silicone. All right, so you saw me dropping the whole headliner. It's still completely dropped. I need to put that back together. Once you drop it, you have these on each side, and there is 9 10mm nuts on these studs, and so these thread into the roof. I think they all probably have 9 on each side. I think most Subarus are the same. And it's a little flange nut like this. And you will absolutely need a 10mm ratchet wrench. An angled one with a ratchet is really helpful. Get one of those, and then just get a regular. And then I also even have just a regular 10mm right here. But those are jammed up in between these airbags up in there. I'm not even sure if I can really show you guys. But anyways, they're pretty much crammed up where that can, just up in there pretty much. It's really hard to see now that we're not doing it, but you have 9 bolts per side, and they sit in these grooves. And it is very challenging to get to them. So there's this canister back there, this silver thing, and that airbag line runs all the way along. So what I recommend doing, I'm going to try to zoom in here. There's mounting brackets right where my finger is, those silver screws. I recommend unbolting those, because to unbolt those and get to these studs, it is such a small gap to get in there. I would highly recommend, my zoom's all messed up, unbolting some of those screws. Here might be a better close-up. You can see that thing that says comp. That's your airbag line. And then you can see those silver screws. Those are your mounting brackets. Those are okay to take off. As long as your battery is disconnected, you'll be fine. So make sure it's disconnected. Nothing will happen. Unbolt those mounts, and then you can get your wrench in there. I was also able to get a socket with an extension and a 10mm. And I was able to squeeze it up in there through the airbag canister. And I got 3 of those. I want to say I got 3 in the back here on each side, and 1 in the front or 1 in the middle. So there's like 5 along here and then 4 along the front. It's the worst part of the process. I spent a lot of time getting both these off. So dropping the headliner is easy, but getting these off is probably the biggest pain. There's so many bolts. Some of them you can only turn at a quarter turn at a time, and it sucks. So once that's off, my rack showed up. I bolted all the canister mounts back up, and then you're left with this groove and a bare roof rack. So the Prinsu uses 5 holes per side. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mounting brackets per side, total of 10. The stock roof rack uses 18 total. So you get rid of 8 holes total. So there's 4 on each side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I used white JB weld, JB marine weld. And I sealed off those holes with this stuff right here. This marine weld. Mixed it up, put it on there. That's the best way to do it. Just use a really good sealer. Then you take, I would get a step bit. This is really nice. This is just a Milwaukee one. I had taped it, but the tape came off. And you drill it out to 3/8. So what's really helpful to do is there's mounting. You can grab this bracket, the side bracket, before the rack's installed. But then there's this. So you use pretty much the second hole from the front of the vehicle, and then you use the back you just kind of have to mark them. So I marked the ones I was going to fill, and then I filled those. And then after I filled them, I drilled out the ones I was going to use the 3/8. That's really easy. It's not much. Make sure you don't over drill. And then the plus nuts. So the plus nuts are these. Prinsu included some ultra weld black silicone that I put around the base of these, right where the flange is here. Then you have a couple different tools. Let's see if I can show you. You've got your plus nut, you've got a bolt, and you've got this tool. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna set that on there like that, and then you're gonna thread your plus nut on there. And that's gonna go down into the hole. Make sure you put silicone on this. Sink it down into the roof. I wish I had like a empty hole here or something, but you kind of get the point of it. And then this is a 7/16. To hold both these, you grab a wrench. I wish I could do this two-handed. You grab a wrench, you're holding the plus nut in there. You want to make sure it's flush. And I had an impact with a 7/16 on there. I want to say the, yeah, 7/16 or, okay, this is 1/2 inch. This is 7/16. Whatever, it's something like that. And then you pretty much hold this with the wrench. So, here we go. Hold that with the wrench. Imagine this plus nut's down in the roof. Just forget about that. And then with your impact, you're just going to drive this in. And you want to drive it in quite a ways until this plus nut smashes up into the roof. So it smashes together is what it does. This whole piece smashes up and compresses on the roof in between, like above the headliner and right here, so you can thread into it. So make sure you put some silicone. What I did is I used the impact for all of them, and that worked fine. And then I checked them. I checked the gap by looking down into the hole. You want to be careful. I kind of screwed the threads up on one. These are they are a pretty hard steel or a hard metal. Focus. So you can kind of see how, because that thread will get pushed up and you can look down. But those are the plus nuts. They included a couple extra, but once those are in, you're never messing with your roof again. So, come on, there we go. Plus nuts are in, and then it's pretty easy. The rack assembly is pretty darn straightforward. All of these crossbars mount up. You have a 5th mounting foot, because I was worried about there only being 4, or only being these 4. There's a 5th. And what you don't realize, this guy is bolted to this bar, and you have a stiffener brace. These are how these stiffener braces go. They're about 10 inches from here to here. I know they're just outdated in their instructions, so that's why I'm showing everyone this. You've got a mounting foot here. It goes up to this crossbar, and then it bolts in the side. This I'd recommend doing first. So I'll back up a little bit. You've sealed off your holes. You've put the plus nuts in. You put your spacer down. Oh, come on, focus. Put your spacers down. Make sure you put a lot of silicone. I used Flex Seal. I used what Milton uses. This is Flex Shot, Flex Seal, clear silicone. So you're gonna pretty much hold it down, put a pretty big blob of it, and then put the spacer down on top of your roof rack. And then, little important thing, it came with these special little washers. These are just metal flat washers, but it came with these. So you put the silicone down, put that down, and then I set this on top. And I'll show you why I did that, because that is just gonna help give it a little buffer. There's one there. There's one there. This little rubber thing, I think they included, because they don't include instructions. It helps so it's not just rubbing on the metal. So make sure you put that down. And then you have these bolts and a flat washer. But you set it all down, try to bolt your corners, and then make sure you leave. What I ended up having to do is I ended up having to remove this, and I ended up having to pull on the rack to get this to tighten down because the bolt hits right here. So what you could do is you could install this mounting foot and this whole thing right here on the rack first, or on the roof first, excuse me, and then drop the rack on top of it. It might be a little easier. It's just you got to realize it's really tight clearances in here. I can get a wrench in here now and tighten it, but that was the only thing. The rest of the mounting feet are really pretty easy. But that's how the whole rack bolts up. It looks fantastic. Really happy with it. Tighten that down, make sure you got a lot of silicone. I might go ahead and silicone again in some of the areas because this is like a rain gutter right here. So any water that's traveling down that is just gonna drip off here, drip down the front. But the rack's on, it's super, super solid. Now I'm gonna start buttoning up the headliner, putting that seal in for the sunroof, and putting this back together. I got rid of my nest in there, vacuumed up some stains and stuff. We're gonna put the headliner back, and then I'll just give you a walk around of that.